A blind black girl joins her school cheer squad with hope, only to be mocked and humiliated before a laughing crowd. They thought her disability made her weak, but they didn't know the strength she carried inside. What happens when humiliation turns into empowerment? Watch the story unfold, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stand against injustice. She had been mocked before, ignored before, underestimated before, but nothing prepared her for the sting of that night. Selena Moore, blind since birth, stood on the gym floor where laughter echoed louder than the music. She had joined the cheer squad with hope, with a dream of belonging, but the jeers and cruel whispers turned it into a nightmare. They thought her blindness made her weak, that she couldn't hear their sneers or feel their rejection, but what they didn't know was that beneath the surface, Selena carried a strength no one could see. And soon, the same crowd that humiliated her would be forced to witness the truth. What happens when those who laugh at you discover you are far stronger than they ever imagined? By day, Selena lived like any other high school senior. She navigated the world with the help of her cane, her sharp memory, and the calm guidance of her father, Leonard Moore, a quiet man who carried a history few dared to question. Selena's blindness had shaped her daily routine into one of discipline and resilience. She could map her neighborhood by sound, recall routes by smell, and identify classmates by the rhythm of their footsteps. Her world was not darkness, it was detail, layered in ways others couldn't grasp. Every morning she walked through the school gates with her head held high, choosing dignity over pity. Her teachers admired her focus. Some classmates offered kind words, though often wrapped in the thin layer of charity that felt more condescending than kind. But Selena didn't let that define her. She had dreams, to graduate, to study psychology, to show the world that blindness was not a barrier but a perspective. Joining the cheer squad had been part of that dream, a way to belong in spaces where she had always been told she didn't fit. At first it felt promising. She practiced every evening, memorizing the routines by counting beats and steps, sensing the vibrations of the music through the floor. But whispers soon replaced encouragement. Teammates began to exclude her, moving formations without telling her, laughing when she stumbled. One evening, during practice before a packed audience, the cruel game reached its peak. Selena was deliberately left stranded mid-routine, her teammates shifting away, leaving her alone at the center as the crowd erupted in laughter. Humiliation burned hotter than the gym lights. And yet she did not cry. She stood still, her face unreadable, her silence louder than any insult. But beneath that silence was a storm. Because what her bullies never knew was that Selena's father, Leonard, had raised her not just with patience but with power. Behind closed doors, she had trained in martial arts, learning to trust her instincts, sharpen her awareness, and master her balance. Blindness had never made her weak. It had honed her strength. And the night her humiliation was broadcast across whispers and social media, that strength was about to be revealed. The days after the gym incident grew heavier. Students shared clips of her humiliation, adding captions and cruel edits. Walking through the halls became a battlefield of stares and smirks. Even teachers pretended not to notice. Selena could hear the phone screens light up with her name, feel the weight of being a spectacle. Yet she kept walking, each step deliberate, refusing to let their laughter consume her. But the bullies weren't satisfied with laughter. They wanted to break her spirit entirely. One afternoon, in the quiet corner of the schoolyard, they surrounded her. Their voices dripped with mockery, taunting her blindness, questioning her place, reminding her that she would never belong. A push on her shoulder, a shove on her cane. The ring of voices is closing in. To them, it was just another cruel game. To Selena, it was the line crossed. Her breath stilled. Her training returned. Every sound sharpened. The scrape of a shoe, the flick of a wrist, the intake of a mocking breath. And in a heartbeat she moved. Their laughter turned to gasps as she defended herself. Not wildly, not recklessly, but with precision. Each motion was deliberate, each response instinctive. Years of training flowed through her muscles, and the bullies who once saw her as fragile found themselves face to face with a strength they couldn't comprehend. The crowd that had gathered fell silent, phones raised, capturing every second. For the first time, Selena wasn't the object of pity or ridicule. She was undeniable. But as the bullies stumbled back, humiliated in the same yard where they had once stood powerful, the tension shifted. Because this was no longer just a schoolyard scuffle, it was a statement. And statements, especially from girls like Selena, never came without. The gym that once echoed with cruel laughter was now drowned in silence. Selena stood at the center, her breath steady, her head held high. At the same time, the same bullies who had mocked her lay defeated, not by violence alone, but by the truth they could no longer ignore. She was not fragile, she was not helpless, and she had never been the stereotype they tried to force her into. Yet, as the whispers spread and the videos uploaded in real time, Selena realized her fight wasn't truly over. It was only the beginning. By the next morning, her name was on everyone's lips. Some called her brave, admiring her strength and resilience. Others called her dangerous, twisting her defense into aggression, framing her as a threat instead of a victim. Teachers whispered in the halls, administrators called emergency meetings, and the school board debated what consequences should follow. The same system that had failed to protect her was now preparing to punish her for daring to protect herself. Selena walked through those days carrying both pride and pain. Pride because she had reclaimed her dignity and reminded the world that her blindness was not weakness. It was power. Pain because she knew that for girls like her, victory often comes with a price. The videos went viral, yes, but so did the comments. Strangers, hidden behind screens, wrote words as sharp as knives. "She's out of control." "What do you expect?" Another angry black girl. "If she can fight like that, she's a danger to society." It was the same story told again and again in different forms. When black resilience is mistaken for rebellion, when self-defense is painted as aggression, when survival is twisted into guilt. Selena's struggle inside that gym wasn't just about a cheer squad or a group of bullies. It was a mirror, reflecting a much larger truth, that in a world shaped by prejudice, the fight for dignity never ends at the school doors. But Selena did not let their labels define her. She continued to walk into school each day, not with fear, but with the unshakable presence of someone who had already faced the worst and chosen to rise. Her story became a lifeline to others. Quiet students who had suffered in silence, young girls who felt invisible, anyone who had been told they didn't belong. When they saw Selena, they saw themselves. They saw a possibility. They saw strength, and that is the impact that can't be erased. Because while one girl was humiliated and pushed to the ground, she stood back up, not just for herself, but for everyone watching who had ever felt small. The story of Selena reminds us that injustice doesn't always come in the form of headlines or handcuffs. Sometimes it happens in the everyday spaces, in classrooms, gyms, and hallways, where dignity is stolen one laugh at a time. And sometimes the most powerful form of resistance is simply refusing to stay down. She may have been blind, but Selena helped others see. So, as her story closes, the question lingers for all of us. How many more voices need to rise? How many more moments of humiliation must turn into battles for survival before the world truly learns to see beyond color, beyond disability, beyond prejudice? And when the next Selena stands up, will we stand with her or will we stay silent?